when I play Dr. Levatino? Does that make you feel uncomfortable? Oh, I know it does. Because every time I play it, I get dozens. In the beginning, I would get hundreds of emails or messages about that. And even to this day, folks who haven't heard it before will ask me for it. Where can I get it? And I'll send you the video. It's Dr. Levatino, and he is testifying before Congress on abortion again. He was an abortion doctor. He stopped for a number of reasons, but quite evident the reason that you heard just a couple of minutes ago. And if you're just tuning in right now, this is the second that you've flipped on the radio. He went into detail on pulling out body parts. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable, I'm sorry. Now, I get it. Not a lot, or not as many abortions get to that point, or you're 6 months and beyond. But it still happens. And there are still people out there who want it to happen, who think it's a God-given right for an 8th month abortion. Now, yesterday I came on the air and I said, this is going to get a lot uglier, and it is. And there's violence yesterday, and there'll be more. And the Supreme Court decision was justified because it was a bad law. Not because it was a bad law because you may think that abortion is wrong, but it was a bad law because it was based on like building a house on a pile of sand. Just wasn't a good foundation. And you didn't lose your right to abort your babies. Just some states now are either going to make it incredibly difficult or impossible. So go somewhere else. And with the way technology has evolved, as of right now, they can send you the pill. I mean, the lawsuits are coming on that, but if you want to terminate your pregnancy, you'll be able to legally do it. There's 24 states right now that are still willing, and Connecticut's one of them. So lucky you. Lucky you. And the fight, I'm sure, will continue. The rage will continue. The idea that, it's funny, and I mentioned this yesterday. I know you're rolling your eyes when he says it. Here he goes again, going to say, all of a sudden now, women found the word women again. Or people found the word women. Or woman. For months, it was taboo. No, nobody's a woman. Can you define what a woman is to me? No, really. How about somebody that can get pregnant? I can't get pregnant. That's not part of the definition? Oh, okay, because some women maybe can't, so maybe that's not part of the definition, so we'll get technical on that. So it's silly. But all of a sudden now it's women this and women that, and women all that's now, it's not become taboo anymore. Now it's part of the mainstream, right back to where we were in the beginning. I've gone on record. I upset everybody because I don't have an answer, nor have I been able to find an answer for you for unwanted babies. They fall into this category, and I know folks want to say, well, there are people lining up to adopt babies. If that's the case, why are there so many kids in foster care? Why are there so many kids being mistreated? So that is a half-truth. So if we're going to lay all the cards on the table like we try to every single day, there's a lot of issues floating around here, right? There's a lot of issues. There's the extreme ultra-right religious side of this that takes, it takes no for an answer when it comes to its life at conception, period. Which would mean then that a person, I was thinking about this today, so a person who, let's say you've got a divorced woman. She goes out for the third or fourth time with a divorced man. They both are caring for 2 kids respectively. The combined income of both of them is $70,000. They struggle every week to put food on the table. Some weeks they go without. They decide to go out for the fourth time because people introduced them. They have the sex, and for whatever reason, things go a little haywire, something breaks, and now that woman the next day or the day after wants to take the morning after, and folks out there don't want to let her do that. That I don't understand. So now you're going to force a responsible group or person to do something that, see, there are all kinds of extenuating circumstances to this. And then of course, if I'm having this conversation with somebody who's incredibly religious, and I respect that 1,000%, they're going to say, well, this is the way it's meant to be. That life is as valuable as any other life. So but the thing is, so you're going to bring in to the world somebody like into an impossible situation, and that's not even really an impossible situation, but I'm sure there are much, much worse. But nobody, let's just go, let's straight out. It's just, there are some cases, like, what do you do with the cases where the kids, they don't want the kids? No one's giving me an answer for that. And I don't think lining up for the babies for adoption, maybe I'm wrong about that. I've looked all over the place and I don't see it that way. But anyway, I don't know. I'm glad that it is where it is right now, right? I'm glad that it got taken down because I think the law is bad. The opportunity for folks to still have your abortions are still there. But there are still no answers to the lingering problems that we have thrown out there for months leading up to this, which is, what do you do with these unwanted kids? What do you do with these kids thrown in foster care? How do you deal with that? How do you rectify that? Right? There's this, no, I know, this is a difficult issue for so many people. And yesterday it was thrown on everybody. Not yesterday, but Friday. We got a chance to talk about it yesterday. Talk about it some more. I think it's a win for humanity. I think it's a win for morality. And well, I guess we'll see where it goes. But still, I have questions that have not gotten any answers. And sort of being, if you could picture, I'm trying to explain this the best I can. If you can picture if you want to picture somebody being in the middle of the road, right? If you're driving on the right-hand lane, folks on the extreme left drive in the left-hand lane. I'd be driving mostly in the right-hand lane. On this issue, I'm driving certainly in the right-hand lane, but maybe not as far over to the right as a lot of people would like. I'm still going to stand pretty close to the viability line. But I'll still go back to the idea that it's just morally, it's a moral issue that somebody has to live with for the rest of their life. And I'm not saying for the most part that it's not an incredibly difficult choice. I'm sure that it is. I'm sure that it's one of the worst choices somebody will have to make, ever. But let's just get back. I played the audio again today just to give you an idea of how gruesome it can be when you get to the point of a later term abortion. When you're talking about a group of cells that have no shape or form, it's different. There's no consciousness yet. But when you get past that point, and I'll circle back to this because this makes the most sense. I'm rambling because I have a million things flying through my mind. When it gets to looking like a baby, it's over. It should be over. And if we can come away from all of this with that, I think it's a win for everybody. Right? If we set the marker at a reasonable 3 months, 4 months at the max, before it looks like a baby. But nobody wants to have those conversations about that. See, you can't impose your morality on somebody else a lot of the time, right? And this is the huge hiccup. See, when it gets to the point where it's looking and acting and has pain and feels and looks like a baby, then that is the game changer for me, right? When it's a group of cells we can have a debate, because I don't believe it has a conscience yet, and I don't believe it's my right to dictate morality necessarily to you. But then when it can live outside the mom on its own, well, now that changes the whole game. Does that make sense? Or am I just rambling? That's a possibility. I'm just rambling this morning. All right, that's how we begin. I'm sure I made everybody mad this morning. So I'm just looking for the avenue that makes the most sense. Okay? For my friends on the extreme right, I actually agree. Morally, it's an issue that it will torment someone's soul forever, I would think. That's my guess, if you have a soul. For my friends on the extreme left who are yelling and screaming, I have zero sympathy past a certain point in the pregnancy for you. None. Right? Somewhere in the middle, but middle much right, there's probably a solution. One where nobody's happy, but in the end, negotiations, when nobody's happy, everybody at least comes away from the table with something. In a perfect world, right, in a perfect world, it would be different, but we don't live in a perfect world. All right, let me get to it, buddy. I'll read the emails and you guys can yell at me. Tell me where I'm wrong. That's fine. LeeElciRadio@gmail.com. We'll be right back.